Welcome to the MMA Junkie pre-show. I am Richard Hunter with Danny back in the studio. Danny, how's it going, man?
It's going good. How about you?
Great. Really excited for today's show with George and Goes. You know, Frank Mir, two-time UFC heavyweight champion, will be co-hosting along with myself. Together we make up the twice-weekly phone booth fighting podcast, and we always get excited to stop by the MMA Junkie studios and talk to our friends George and Goes. Danny, what about you? What's on tap for the show today from a production standpoint? What should we prepare people for in the way of production value?
Well, production value is going to be the same as always, so about 50%.
Okay. All right. Functioning at about 50% capacity.
Yeah. But we do have a couple of things going on in the background. We have George made a post. Goes, where did George make that post?
Facebook.
I saw it on Facebook. George made a post on Facebook announcing that we were going to have you and Frank Mir on.
Mm-hmm.
And in the post, he wanted everyone to give their best Frank Mir face and post a photo of that. So that's going on throughout the show. I don't know if we're going to do, if it's like a contest or if it's just everybody that wants to do it can do it. But that's been going on, and that's been pretty funny so far.
Great idea.
The other thing... Yeah.
Where, by the way, what is the Facebook page called? Is it MMA Junkie Radio?
It's just our Facebook live stream.
Yes.
In the comment sections.
Okay, but to go to the actual Facebook page, though,
you gotta go to MMAjunkie.com's Facebook page, and then it'll pop up on their timeline.
Okay. All right. Very good. I'm sorry, Danny, I cut you off there with your plugs. What else?
No worries. Also, song-wise, we have a new bit for Tuesdays. It's we do letters of the alphabet. So today's letter is C. So we only can do song titles that start with a C.
Oh, okay. I like it. Oh boy, there's a million of them that I can think of. We play a little. Can you? Do you have the? Hey, George. What's up, man? George from MMA Junkie Radio has just arrived, wearing the same T-shirt as I am, by the way.
Told him he has to host the pre-show today.
Yeah. Do we have the ability to play a little Name That Tune? Like, can you play me like 4 bars of one of those C songs? Let me see if I can name it.
Yeah, I can try that.
Roll one for me.
All right, sounds good. Here we go. First song.
Stop. That's the Police, right?
It is.
It's oh god.
Starts with a C.
Well, of course it does. I can't stand losing you.
You got it.
Aha! Woohoo! Give me another one.
All right. Here's the next one.
Stop. Call Me by Blondie.
Yep.
Give me another one.
All right, these are all different genres.
Yeah.
So the first two.
No, I'm not going to get this one. This is some kind of hip-hop thing, right?
Yeah.
Damn
it. Cake by the Ocean.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about another one?
Hold on. Here.
By the way, you've never sounded older than this is some kind of hip-hop thing.
This is something the kids are dancing to, right?
Got it? Anything?
No.
George will get this one.
Oh, yes.
Well, it's
you know the band?
Who did this?
I don't know who did it, but it's from the OC, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Was this the?
My answer that I would submit is the lead song of the show, the hit show, the OC.
Wasn't there a band on the OC? Like, wasn't that part of the plot?
A couple of the bands actually showed up on the show.
Okay.
Yeah, like Death Cab was on it at one point.
I put the OC on the map, by the way.
The OC? You put that on the map?
Yeah, people just used to call it Orange County. I heard my dad call it Orco once, and I go, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, nobody called it OC until I called it once that on a plane. Got laughed at. 10 years later, it's a fucking hit show.
Yeah.
Much like the Impractical Jokers. You should see the things me and my buddies used to do at the mall, just daring each other.
Mm-hmm.
Which leads to why we always approach you with, would you ever?
Yeah.
For $500.
The hypotheticals.
Yeah. And here these guys are doing a show off. I mean, they're doing stuff that, hey, say this. See if you can get away with this. And then you have to either have the balls to do it or not and pay the consequences. Yeah.
When are you going in alphabetical order, Danny, on these songs?
No. They just all have to start with C. I was just trying to mix up the genres as much as possible.
I mean show to show. Like, did you do B yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next time,
not yesterday, but last Tuesday.
Okay. Next time you come back around to B, or I guess S, technically, if you're going to do last names, just so you know, I can name any Bruce Springsteen song in 1 second. 1 second.
Well, just play a Bruce Springsteen song, Danny.
Play one.
And don't go to the top.
Hold on. All right. First one.
Rosalita.
Damn. I tried to bring it down faster.
Yeah, another one?
Yep.
The Rising.
Damn. All right, hold on.
Uh-oh.
Okay, that's a new one.
Up in 30.
Is it Living in the Future?
You're Toquinho right
How did
now.
you get that? Damn.
Just a little something to keep in the back pocket on your guest file in case that talent ever comes of use. You ever have an MMA fighter that wants to challenge me on this?
All right, guys, coming
To
up
be
at
clear,
10.
though, you didn't get
Stand
that
by.
one in 1 second.
It was about a second.
Was it?
Yeah.
I think it was at least 5.
5. It wasn't 5 seconds.
I was going to go with
Captain
10.
speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMAjunkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Gold. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMAjunkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMAjunkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMAjunkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMAjunkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMAjunkie Radio Show. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes. Our ace co-host, back east, handling all the producing duties. It's going to be Danny. Sitting to my right are the co-hosts of the Phone Booth Fighting Podcast. Richard Hunter on the far right.
Hello.
Two-time UFC heavyweight champion Frank Mir on my immediate right. What's up, guys?
Hi, man.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
As always.
Thank you guys for stopping by. You just came back from a trip, right?
I'm always coming back from a trip.
Yeah. A lot of traveling, a lot of airports.
Tons of traveling. Yeah, I just actually came back from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm out there. A guy named Dale Cook, a great guy. He has a show called XFN, the Extreme Fight Nights. And so about 6 times a year, I go out there and help, call the fights. And
ACB?
ACB, I do what Paul helps me doing that. We're doing that, about 12 to 18 times a year. I go out there to, well, they had one out here in L.A., which was
Irvine?
a nice, that was a nice little skip. But most of them are over there in European side. So I got, Russia, so, Moscow, St. Petersburg, Rostodon, and then, I was in Austria, which was nice. The only thing is a lot of times I fly in, do the show, fly out. So I got about a 2-hour window where I can grab a bite to eat and stuff.
Hey,
I got the daughter and the wife with me.
if you woke up,
Is she 21?
My daughter? No.
She can't be in here.
Oh, in this room?
In the
in
gaming
all the
area.
sports book.
Oh, okay.
Escort her out.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just hang tight. I was gonna have her interview for a second too.
We'd get in a lot of trouble.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a big fine.
Trust me, man. I'd love to.
She's not 21. This is the sports books. It's just really sad.
Hey, Richard.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing that George said that Frank was right there to his right and you to the far right, because you guys get confused a lot, right?
We do. Yeah. No, that's very true.
There's always new fans.
That's why I had to cut my hair.
Hey,
you know?
again, man, sorry about that. That's
no,
one of the
don't worry.
worst things.
So none of the
on our
fighters
show.
that are under 21, you can.
We can't even have a baby.
Michael Bisping, his son, Vitor Belfort, his son, our family. You know, like our cousins come by and wave, and we're like, oh, we have to go out there. It's the worst part I hate, man.
Now, let me ask you this. Can she cash in her slips if her bets come in? Because I saw her at the window a minute ago.
I don't know, because I don't cash many winners,
okay.
that's for sure.
Okay.
God, I hate that part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I love kids and, like, meeting other people's kids. And, you know, she
I actually
trains.
don't
I've
like
seen her
kids.
in the videos.
I should hang out here more often. I didn't realize that was a policy. Yeah.
That's the one that trains, right, Frank?
Yeah,
I've
actually,
seen her
well,
train.
and right
your
now,
son, yeah.
all the kids, they train, and I never really pushed it because, look, I've always tried to, I guess the biggest way I've tried to relate to people is like, say you're a musician, and you've made it, which we know that just because everybody's into music and you could be very talented at it, doesn't necessarily mean you made it, right? There's a lot of luck and being in the right position, right time, and just shake the right hand, took the right elevator, whatever the case may be, to hit that next level, right? Knowing that, you know that there's a lot of factors that are not in your control to making it, and it can be scary. So you want your child to have a life of music because you obviously love it, just like I want my children to be a part of and to understand and train in the world of martial arts. But I don't want them to put all their eggs in that basket trying to make it as a fighter because, someone rear-ends you and you get, whiplash and all this. I mean, there's so many things that could happen that it can derail an athletic career. So I've always really pushed education. And they're all at private school here at Meadows in town. And my daughter is a high honor roll student,
Really?
know.
Cool, man.
But she is not away at me long enough. We just started wrestling only 3 months ago. November 7th was her first day of wrestling practice. Before that, she's been around it. She does jiu-jitsu with me, but again, I don't push it, and she wants to be in it. I've actually tried to put other things in front of her, like softball, and she was a pretty avid softball player. So I'm like, here, do this instead, the less head contact. And so I finally lost the battle, and now we actually just now are going to enroll her into a homeschooling program, which we have a private tutor, so she'll still get a really good education for the next year, and then we'll enroll her into high school. But she wants to take this next year because, basically when she gets off school, it's wrestling practice or weight training, and then we go to jiu-jitsu, and then she wants to do kick. She basically trains till almost 9:30 at night, and then wants to get up in the morning for 6 a.m. to go to school and start over. In fact, she does her homework in between classes and at lunch. She doesn't even take a full lunch. She does all her homework there, so she doesn't have homework after school so that she can go and train. She's that just starving to be a fighter.
See, I'd love to talk to
and so
her or whatever.
So now we're going to homeschool her so that she can be on my program. So, we'll go drop the boys off at school, then we go out to the weight room, train or do yoga in the mornings, and then we're going to go and see Angela. We'll be doing boxing, at 11. And then from there we come home, take a small nap. Then she wants to go to wrestling practice, jiu-jitsu, and then at the end of the night, so we have jiu-jitsu with Robert Drysdale, doing some kickboxing, stand-up with Ken Hahn at night. So she has a full curriculum ahead of her. That's what she wants to do. But at least she has the grades still, and there's still college isn't out of the question. Hopefully she's still, because the girl side of wrestling has picked up so much. We've actually had a couple of conversations that occurred with scholarships for wrestling. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I mean, and so now she likes that too. I'm like, well, you could wrestle for 4 years in college, and then that'll help out your MMA career, and then, but she wants to turn pro by the time she's 16. So
wow. So that is the goal then, to turn pro.
That's the goal. So the way I finally looked at it is like she's either going to do this with me or without me. So I'd rather that, my 15 years of being, 16 years of being a professional fighter in MMA, I'd rather be able to help her and show her where I've stumbled or where I've succeeded. And I think what every parent wants, you're like, look, I got to here, and so let me show you what I did to give you the fast track to that path, and now you can push the bar that much farther.
Kind of reminds me of Ric Flair and his daughter, Charlotte, right?
Bit. Yeah.
The pro wrestler reached the pinnacle,
Yeah,
you
Ric
know,
Flair's-
and now his daughter, he's guiding her, and she's actually one of the bigger stars at WWE.
Yeah, I think
you reached the pinnacle at the UFC of being a champion, and here you are backing your daughter. It's very impressive. And see, I'd want to talk to her. And the pickle I was in was Bisping's son. Have you ever heard of I know you have, Richard, and goes, but have you ever heard of The Underground?
Yeah.
It's a website that's been around for a long time, even before I was a junkie. So I've been on there for a long time, and his kid posts there. So I had never met him, but his kid is, like, really mature because a lot of people like to bash Bisping. And every time he, like, debated, he never really, like if somebody posted a picture of him getting knocked out by Henderson, like, he took it in stride. And I just wanted to tell him, man, you're a mature kid because you could really tell everyone to F off. But you're in there and you talk, and he trains jiu-jitsu. And so when he walked up, I knew
we'll
it,
do
man.
An interview where we can step
I'd
outside.
love to, yeah, just
maybe
outside.
Maybe pull off the and we'll go out there.
That's all we have to do, man. Is just step outside, go to the pool or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get the cabana
there's a
for the
cafe
day.
right there, you know.
Yeah, and so I wanted to talk to him because he trains, he competes in jiu-jitsu tournaments, and as soon as I saw him, I just knew we couldn't do it because they just have this big fine, and man, I think the next day we just wouldn't have the show in the studio.
And then even like if we wanted to do it, if let's just say we said, just let her sit there.
Well,
they see everything, and
well,
when they come, it's
and you are broadcasting the evidence. You're like, I didn't have the girl on the show. You're
so
like,
it's
that
a
girl right
spot.
there.
Hey, let me ask you something. You brought something up. You said right time, right place, right elevator ride. Can you point to a moment in your career where something like that went down, where you were the right guy at right time?
Well, I mean, how I basically got into the UFC was a lot of just random luck. What's the expression where preparation and luck meet or whatever?
Preparation meets opportunity.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. So I, like my daughter, was very motivated at a very early age. I loved martial arts. Never thought I'd make money at it. I just wanted to train it because, at the time the UFC was, fighting on Indian reservations, and so it wasn't a source of income. I trained purely for the love of I like martial arts. And so I was training. I worked at Texas Station. I was a front desk
I just went by there
receptionist. So if you came in to check in and check out, that was me. And so when I got off work, there was a boxing gym down the street, Nevada Partners, and I would go box from like 2:30 till 4:30. Then I would zip over to a place called Modern Martial Arts on Cyrus and Valley View and train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. First was a guy named Philip Karpinski, who was a purple belt under Rodrigo Gracie. And so I would train there. And then I'd leave there and go weight train with my dad because my dad's an avid fitness and martial artist, but really likes fitness. And I'd go lift with him at the athletic club on Eastern and Sahara. Then I'd go home and go to sleep and wake up and repeat the process. Well, there was no idea I was going to get paid to do that. It was just I loved to train. And so it was one day I was in the gym on Modern Martial Arts, and this short, unassuming individual on a 10-speed bike showed up, said that he now had just gotten a place nearby there because of the offices that he works at. Zuffa was right there. It's like, oh, so what do you do? He's like, oh, I'm the vice president or the matchmaker for the UFC. We're like, really? You just showed up on a fucking 10-speed. Are you? You're the matchmaker, huh, buddy? It's just not what you would think. And then he was watching me train and roll around and noticed how well I moved for a heavyweight. And had mentioned, hey, have you ever thought about fighting professionally? And I already had one. Like, yeah, I like fighting, and I want to do it. I never, aspire, we have your number. And so that is an opportunity where he just chose my gym to walk into, and I happened to be training there, and it worked out. Now, again, I was doing all the hard work already. It wasn't like I just walked down the street and someone goes, hey, you, would you like to be interested in shooting a movie? I was doing everything, but had he gone north instead of south, what gym could he have walked into? Or maybe that day I called in sick, didn't feel good. Or
you filled in at Texas Station for a buddy or something.
Yeah, my shift got changed. So there it goes an example of, there's a little bit of luck. Mm-hmm. And people that want to deny that, it's like, well, it's all me. It's like, well, yes, I don't want to sit there and disavow that there was a lot of hard work. I was training several hours a day with no idea that I'd ever make a living at it, just out of love and passion. So I was putting in the hard work, but then Joe Silva coming into my gym, that was the little bit of luck factor.
Mm-hmm. Did you have to help him off the bike, or?
No, but I did notice the training wheels were quite.
Oh, okay.
I said, "Hey, man, you're beyond that."
So that's why you appreciate your daughter's hustle and you're backing her, because in a way you were hustling. You talked, from boxing to strength and conditioning, and you're seeing her a little bit of you and her.
Same exact thing.
And so if she's gonna do it, and you're not stopping her, you might as well do it, and also be take a healthy approach to it.
Maybe
the scholarship, less head impact.
And then
learn
also,
from your mistakes.
Even addressing injuries. Every time, she got mad at me last week for that because she was rolling over Drysdale's, and there was a group of people, and I had just left town to go out to the XFN, and so I get a phone call from basically her second mom, who's a girl named Britta, who's her tutor, and my wife's basically one of her best friends that help us when we're out of town. And so I get a call that, hey, Bella hurt her knee. She popped her knee. I'm like, oh, what happened? Group of people rolling. If anybody trains jiu-jitsu, they probably have a story like this where the group next to you got a little overzealous. They thought they were up for a world championship or something, and they basically didn't want to get out of whatever submission they were getting and went ape crazy and rolled into Bella and rolled her and basically buckled her knee a little bit. It made a pop.
Which I've apologized for, but you keep bringing it up. Go ahead.
So it buckled her knee and made a little bit of a popping noise. So Britta brought her to the therapist. He took a look at it, said, okay, look, there's no tears, there's no damage, but lay off it for a couple days. So the next day, my daughter's like, okay, I'm going to class. I'm like, no, you're not. You didn't hear the guy who went to school said, hey, lay off it for a couple of days. Well, he says there's nothing injured. I'm all, you're right, not now, but you're going to be tentative on it. It's a little sore. You got to heal. You're 13 years old. You have a long career out of you. There's times to prove you're tough, and when it comes to injuries, it's usually not the time. So there's something that I would have not done myself, and still sometimes have a hard time doing. Where you're like, oh well, just tape it up, rub some dirt on it. I think martial artists sometimes we have that mentality, and I now know that most people walk into think about it, every fighter. Has any fighter ever told you who's ever walked into a fight 100%?
No.
They said if they are, they didn't train properly.
Yeah. So there's a percentage that you work. Everything's about percentages, increasing your percentages to win a fight. So, working on my jab or working on my conditioning or working on my, a submission on the ground, all these are upping myself up percentage points. So we're looking for fractions of a percentage point to have an advantage over our opponent. How much of a percentage is it to be healthy? The other guy's back is blown out and yours isn't, or he has neck damage and you don't. Talk about where you can find the most bang for your buck is entering into a fight relatively healthy.
Yeah, no one brought that up. That's like such an obvious point that none of us
you
have
think
ever
so?
made.
It's like, well, and that's why I tell people, like, for example, the XFN fights we just had on Saturday or Friday night, one of the guys took the fight on short notice, and so Corbin, my broadcast partner in that event, was like, well, how much of a disadvantage is going to be at? I'm like, well, it depends. If he took the fight on 2 weeks' notice and didn't try to kill himself, because he's not going to get in shape like the other guy is for 8-week camp. It's impossible. But you know what advantage he has over that guy in the 8-week camp? He's probably not banged up. So, train, be smooth, get your game plan going. You know what I mean? Hopefully you've been in the gym already. But cruise into like you would be the same intensity you would have for anybody who's 2 weeks before a fight. You're probably already cutting it down. You're not going to make up for it. And then what he gains in cardio, because that ship's already sailed, maybe you can gain in health. The fact that you're not beat up, the fact your knees aren't, screaming, not swollen, and maybe that could be the advantage you go for.
Your kid to me sounds awesome. And I'm right away I'm thinking when we were kids, our punishments when we did something stupid was probably, Brian, we're going to take away your Nintendo. George, you can't go out on Friday night with your friends. For her, would the punishment really be like, you can't train? Would that probably hit her the worst? It's
the worst thing you can do to her. So when I told her that she had to take off a couple nights last week, it was like I shot her dog. It was awful. And I guess that's a good trait to have, but you have to have somebody around you that knows when to pull the leash and say, nope, it's not good for you to go train right now. Because I was there. And I think there's two reasons why we multiple reasons. But another one is for confidence. And I see fighters do that all the time. They train like madmen thinking that they're going to get that mental edge that they're missing through hard training. They're going to be able to sleep at night knowing that, well, I put in the work and somehow that's going to get rid of the butterflies. No, it's not. It's not that easy, man. There is no magic bullet. You can prepare all you want. You're still going to be scared the night before the fight. You're still going to be nervous in the back locker room. That's psychological development, and there's ways to go about that, but just banging yourself up in the gym isn't a cure. And a lot of guys do that. It's nervous energy. They want to go train. And sometimes when you're a high-level athlete, the most important thing is not to train. And that's counterintuitive. We think, oh, you're up at 6 a.m., you train all the way until they basically scoop you into bed, and it's like, no, it's not,
The interesting thing, too, about Frank's daughter at age 13, just having drilled with her a little bit, is it's kind of like the baby tiger, you know what I mean? Like, you can kind of play with them now, but you're figuring out, like, it's not going to be very long, and this is going to suck because they're going to be better than me, so I had to make friends with this thing now before they can eat me. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like there's a small window.
I'm thinking her obsession to the sport and getting better kind of reminds me of how driven she is, And I think a lot of that she got from her mom and judo. And to be an Olympic athlete, just to make it to the Olympics, you have to be pretty amazing. You have to beat out a lot of great competitors in your own country. And some of the countries are obviously more competitive in a certain sport. Like, can you imagine just being your guy at your weight in wrestling? You're a fucking stud. You know what I mean? So anyway, and it sounds like that. I don't know if that's like a hero of hers or
yes and no.
She's actually already been inspired by Ronda because I wanted to talk to her on the podcast about winning a wrestling tournament. She informed me she was doing a media blackout.
And so that's what I was going to point to right now. Richard made a great joke about. But there's something that I can teach my daughter that I don't think someone was able to show Ronda, because who around Ronda has ever reached any kind of notoriety or fame that Ronda has, right?
Her mama.
Right. And so with me, I've been there. I've been the champion. I've been ranked at the very top. And then I've had setbacks. I've had devastating losses where it's, could be a career-defining moment, whether you decide to move forward or you move backwards or you shut the doors and not talk to anybody. And I know what that's done. I mean, I think Ronda, the way she's handled her shortcomings the last two fights have hurt her brand.
Yep.
Okay, and I've met Ronda. I've hung out with her, not just with Travis and stuff, in more of a social setting. I know that there's a person in there that is extremely likable if we could get past the defenses that she's put up because of the fame. Well, now if my daughter tries to go that same route, I mean, come on, if we're in the back locker room and she has a devastating loss and she tells me that she's not walking out, I'm like, I've walked out and I've done every post-fight interview, whether I got my ass kicked or not. Yes, you are going out there. Yes, you are about to go ahead and talk and explain what happened. And you know what? The person that beat you deserves the credit to acknowledge that they beat you tonight. There is no media blackout. No. I mean, you could do that if you like, but that doesn't endear you to the fans. Because, I mean, it's great you want to talk to everybody when you're on a winning streak, but I think people as martial artists, it's like watching a movie. Who really is entertained by a movie where the guy is just winning from the opening scene to the end? It's like, well, what's the point of that? Where was the adversity? Where was the hardship? Where did the guy stumble and fall flat on his face and we thought he wasn't going to make it back? But, it's a movie, so we know he is. And I think in life that's an opportunity that Ronda has, is where she was at the pinnacle, the top. I mean, she'll go in the Hall of Fame as somebody who really put the women on the map. People like my daughter will owe her a certain, amount of for credit. But now she's human. She's mortal. She's lost. She's lost very devastatingly in her last two fights. She's got her ass kicked. You know what I mean? But I think letting people in and seeing the vulnerable side of her would only endear fans that much more, because who can relate to an unstoppable machine? And that's what she was until Holly Holm. An unbeatable, unstoppable, ESPY award-winning, movie-making starlet that traveled the world and just, no one could, never even won a fight by decision because she just smashed everybody. It's not relatable. It's impressive to watch, but now we can see somebody who had it all and now ran into a wall, been ran over, I guess, another way. And now we can see, well, how do you pick up the pieces? There's so many questions, so much of a learning opportunity for other people out there that I think she's missing the boat. I think that, yes, fans can be awful, they could be mean, but it's a small percentage. Look, on the internet, if you have 100 people on there, there's 3 or 4 that are complete assholes. But I don't want the 3 or 4 to win. And now I don't do a media, or I don't talk because those 3 people are going to post shitty pictures of me or say things. Well, yeah, that's life, man. But you know what? The other 90-some are good people that, they're vested in you. They want to know about you. And if you shut out those 3 or 4, you lose the 90. It's like, well, that's not good odds to me.
I think walking out is the first step in rebuilding. You know, it's almost like a therapy. It's got to start somewhere, and I think it should start that night.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what Conor McGregor did.
Yeah.
Conor handled it great.
After he lost to Nate, he went out there, and you could tell it was eating him up, but he said the right things.
We use that as a good example every time.
That became the next day the stepping stone to build the new camp and to get back in there. And now look at him. It's Diaz that wants a shot at him. It's Woodley that wants a shot at him, and he's controlling everything from the top again.
We talked about that on Phone Booth Fighting because I remember that night being in the post-fight press conference after he lost to Diaz that first time, and everybody was saying, well, we've never seen him lose in the UFC. What is this going to be like? Is he going to come out and make excuses? He came out, no excuses. He was humble for 12 hours. The next day, not only was he right back to being Conor McGregor, but somehow he was bigger after that, and we saw more of him than we did before he lost to Diaz. His brand expanded somehow in the wake of that loss.
Yeah,
That's
Ali
perfect
lost.
example of
Leonard lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of great athletes have lost before.
Well, I mean, if you think about it,
Chuck Liddell lost.
In boxing, the only undefeated heavyweight boxer we ever had was Rocky Marciano, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's not really ranked up there with the top boxers of all time.
If and neither is Calzaghe. He retired undefeated.
Yeah.
And Mayweather doesn't even break most people's top 5, some top 10s as far as the greatest ever either.
Because then they sit there and I think what they say is like, well, there was nobody to face you. I mean, that's a lot of times whenever I go back on sports. I mean, and Richard's a much more avid fan of boxing history than I am. But isn't that kind of a common theme of the statement of Marciano's career was, well, there really was no good heavyweights at the time.
And Mike Tyson gets the same knock.
Yeah, in the early, late 80s when Mike Tyson was demolishing everybody, it was like, well, no, wasn't the guy just that good?
I think what saves Tyson is, you're right, there weren't that many, but the ones that were there, he destroyed.
Yeah.
They didn't go to decision. You didn't go, well,
yeah, but
they had no moments.
But Muhammad Ali is largely considered the greatest boxer of all time, and he lost multiple fights and came back and beat those guys.
Right.
I think that, like his trilogy with
Frazier?
Joe Frazier, right? Joe Frazier beat him the first time, right? So it shows that, like, well, this guy is on par to beat you. And he came back and not only beat him again, but then won the rubber match. And then to go out there against someone like George Foreman, who they saw, okay, well, you have a common opponent with each other. Frazier, you've had wars with and lost fights to. I don't think Frazier made it out of the first round. Didn't he get dropped 4 or 5 times? I mean, it was like it was a bloodbath.
Oh, you talk about the Foreman fight.
Foreman and Frazier fight. So they're like, oh, this guy literally is going to maybe kill you. And he goes out there and wins. So it's guys overcoming adversity and not just being Superman. I mean, think about it. That's why I think even on a Marvel or DC comic book level, more fans are interested in Batman because he's mortal and it seems much more difficult for him to win. A lot of people aren't endeared to Superman. It's like, well, the guy's pretty much a god besides kryptonite. I mean, this guy, and even that, guy rises from the dead. Like, you can't kill this dude. Like, how do I relate to that?
Yeah.
Well, and
I was always curious if he was going to bag Catwoman. That was my whole thing. Yeah, I thought no, Batman. Yeah.
If you watch the new Gotham series, it kind of goes that route.
Does it really?
A little bit, yeah.
Superman can't.
I know.
I was going to say, because you brought up Foreman, when we talk about like how to handle loss and adversity and things like that, Foreman to me always had a great attitude about that sort of thing. I interviewed him one time about the Ali fight and the rope-a-dope and all that.
Did you grill him?
And yes, I did. He loves talking about those grills.
Does he?
Yeah, there was plenty of grill talk going on. But I said,
get it, Foreman, the grill? Okay.
He starts telling the story.
This guy, man, it's like the Russian judge over here. Everyone chuckled but him.
He starts telling the story. I said, well, what happened? He goes, everybody told me that I was indestructible. I was going to kill him, all this, and I believe the hype. And he said, I'm in there, and I'm beating the hell out of him for, a number of rounds when he's doing the rope-a-dope.
Right.
And Foreman says that there's this moment in the fight where he's beating the hell out of him, and he says he remembers Ali leans into him and says in his ear, "Is that all you got, George?" And Foreman tells me, he says, at that moment I thought to myself, yes, this is about all I have. And he said the next thing he knew, he was looking up at the lights, But to be able to talk that way about a loss as opposed to, if I had to do it again, I got robbed, whatever. People don't. I don't think people find that. I think they find the human quality of it endearing because you're still doing something nobody else can do.
Yeah, exactly. All right, folks, we're going to take this commercial, and then when we come back, we'll start taking some calls. We got Richard Hunter and Frank Mir in-house today. They are the co-hosts of the Phone Booth Fighting Podcast. And also this Sunday here in Las Vegas, it's Suspended is what it's called. Chael Sonnen and Frank Mir live on the stage inside the Stratosphere. It's the LA Comedy Club. And at 10 p.m. they are going to have – no, is this a different show from like when you guys usually swap cast with
We're
other
going to be
shows?
taping it for a podcast, but it is all of us, Frank, Chael, me, his co-host Joel, all of us on stage together doing a live interactive audience.
Are you doing comedy this time?
Thing.
I might be a little bit, but we're going to focus a lot on the fact. I mean, Chael and us up there talking, it might take a big portion of the show.
Right.
If you say you're
that
going to
was
come
cool
out,
last
maybe,
time when you did the 10-minute set.
Yeah. Did you like it?
I did. I thought you did well. I mean, there was like one joke that I think struck out, but for the rest of the time, you were on.
Oh, he's getting even for that joke that he cracked.
No. He'll even tell you that. I think he said it in the middle, like, okay, that sounded better at home or whatever. But for the most part, it was money. Loved it. All right, folks, we'll be right back after this break. which hurts you when you want to become the best poker player on the planet and you have to fly into Vegas and do it, but. What's that?
Do what they say, and your life will be a lot better. Here are Gorgeous and Goes.
All right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take some calls. Then we're going to have to squeeze in that last break before the end of the hour. And then I want everyone that can to participate. We have the Facebook Combat Chat. But, Goes' number. Some of you know my number. So I want as many people to participate as possible. And we got Frank Mir in studio along with Richard Hunter. And Frank Mir is one thing he's famous for is like 5 years ago, somebody must have said something to him or done something that he didn't approve of because he gave him this face that instantly became Frank Mir face. And so I asked Junkie Nation to come up with their best Frank Mir face, and there's about 15 of them there in the Combat Chat that we'll show them. But if you want to participate, it's in the Combat Chat on Facebook. Check it out, and we'll post it up here on the big screen, and we'll see. We'll let Frank decide which one's the best one.
Do you remember the question that prompted the Frank Mir face? Because Danny Castillo, last call, he's the one who created it. But I feel like the journalist who asked the nonsense question never gets the credit they deserve.
You don't remember, Frank?
No, I don't.
You can't pin it down to
no.
Because you're wearing the beanie. You don't remember like when you were maybe rocking the beanie or
I've done a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you remember the fight? Do you happen to remember what?
If I don't know, pull up when we see the.
What did you think when those guys did it? By the way, were you
I thought
laughing
it was
along?
funny.
Or
yeah.
Okay.
Nah, I thought it was funny.
We're gonna have to do some research.
If you pull up the original picture,
which one? I know which one. I know one time you didn't take it too well. Something. I'll tell you right now. There was a Q&A, I believe, and somebody asked you, "How much are you weighing right now?" Or "What do you walk around at?" Wait. Yeah, and or was it? I forget. But it had to do something with you swinging from Miguel Torres' nuts. Because remember, you were a big fan of his.
Oh, I don't remember this one now. Go
yeah,
ahead.
okay. Maybe they asked Miguel.
It was a Q&A.
Was it Miguel doing the Q&A? And Frank was there, or
they asked Miguel.
And they go, Miguel, what are you weighing now? And he goes, 150 or whatever. And then they go, what about when you?
Are you gonna be able to make weight with Frank Mir hanging up?
Something like that.
That's funny.
And the whole crowd laughed.
That.
I thought it got back to you, or someone didn't like it. But you had a great comeback. You go, you know who I am. I don't know who you are. Something like that. Yeah.
Huh.
That was a good exchange.
You say that, and the instant visualization I get is what the permanent damage that would do to someone's scrotum.
Oh, yeah.
Because like when they stretch out like your earlobes and stuff like that, you're doing gauges.
Or have you ever seen the guys that do the lip?
Yes.
There's no coming back from that one, right?
I'm a gentle lover.
All right, let's start with some calls. Let's go to Brandon in Louisville. What's up, Brandon? How you doing?
Guys, it's an amazing show. These two just really make it easier. I've got like 12 questions I want to ask Frank alone. And
well, thank you, Goes, and I appreciate that. But do you have something for Frank and Richard?
Richard has been good too.
We're all right.
I can't get over the fact that Richard was just belting out Bruce Springsteen song titles with 1 second of it being played. That's a fucking amazing thing.
Oh, you listen to the pre-show, yeah.
Yes. For one of your future shows, you should start Franking guard on you and see what happens first. And he submits you before you can name the song.
Oh, wow. That is a good bit idea.
That is funny.
Okay, here's the thing,
I'm not taking
Frank.
that bet. You're good at music, man.
I can name any Springsteen song in 1 second. So that I guess how would it go? We'd play a tune.
You're better off saying 3 seconds, right?
No, 1 second.
But we just tested that.
No, give me 1 second.
There was one that took like
5. But that's because but if he
and
if
you
he
have to
had given
complete
me
the sentence before I.
No, I have to name the song. If
well, I was saying you have to get the song out.
Yeah, if he had given me 1 second, by the way, I could have named it. So yeah, but that would be the thing. You'd get 1 second. Can I name the song first, or can you submit me first?
That'd be interesting.
That's a good bit idea. Thank you for that, Brandon.
Yeah,
we're going to do that one. Yeah. Okay.
All right, Brandon, continue.
I'm full of ideas. Frank, first UFC I ever went to, you were the main event. And I got to say, thank you so much for ending that horrible night of fights. It was UFC 119 in Indianapolis. And I was so ready to get the hell out of there because it was just an awful night of fights in general. But you KOing Crow Cop in second round?
Third round. Took a while.
And just third round. And just like, okay, thank you. We can finally go home. It was well needed.
That's when Hunt got submitted by McCorkle, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sometimes, I mean, that's the thing. The fighters, we all show up, and sometimes when you're evenly matched up, you know, it makes for less than exciting fights. I mean, if you can get guys of different caliber facing each other, makes one hell of a highlight reel. You know, but when you get two guys that battle it out.
We're out grappling Nogueira. That's some skins on your wall right there.
Yeah, and Crow Cop was difficult. I mean, people don't realize, like, his style is just very hard to get him because he fades away, and it isn't like you can just blindly just start running after the guy. I mean, he has been known to put his shin on people's heads, and then you can't find the head for a couple days, you know. So
King Mo was just in there with him. He was saying, "Damn, he's pretty legit, man."
Yeah, he hits hard,
or
man.
not.
So he made a lot of adjustments.
Yeah,
and you know, he's deceptively strong. I remember we went against the cage and he got double underhooks. And I always wondered, like, I'm like, why don't more people take this guy down? And I remember thinking, well, this is why. This guy is not easy. I mean, he's talk about like old man dad strength. I mean, that guy is he's fit.
Brandon?
I'll make it quick because I know you're going to have people stacked up with this lineup. You're talking about your daughter and getting her. She wants to get into the sport. Have you talked to other? The only one I can really think of is Ryan and Randy Couture. You know, famous. Offspring. They're in MMA. Because it's concerning. You know, you for every Peyton Manning who follows successfully in their father's footsteps, you've got Todd Marinovich and others that don't work out. Have you just talked to anybody about the dangers they face, the trouble, and what to look out for, what to worry about?
No, and it's actually a good point, Brandon. Wow, that was a good observation. It's something probably a tool that I could use to my advantage. And and we have other father-child examples. Randall Cunningham, his daughter, and son are both phenomenal athletes. His daughter just went to the Olympics for the high jump. So I mean, there's other individuals of children following in the footsteps of of a parent that I could probably lean on and try to look for advice. But one advantage I think I have going for us in this relationship that we have is that it's my daughter. I think that it'd be easier not to draw straight line comparisons, whereas my sons are going to have it much harder because they're boys. I think the fact that she's a girl, I think makes it slightly different,
Yeah, totally get it.
But I like what Brandon pointed out. I mean, it's something. I mean, I could talk to Randy about or Ryan and be like,
Megaton Diaz, you know who he is, the grappler.
Yeah,
that's his daughter, Mackenzie Dern.
Yep.
That's having success over at Legacy.
Yeah, that's a huge example. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to Scott in Utah. What's up, Scott?
Hey, what's up, Frank and Richard?
Hi.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, I got to go back. Hey, I got to go back to this weekend's fights with Travis Brown and Lewis. I got to think how frustrated Travis Brown's coaches must be, because it seemed like the game plan was to stay outside and stick him, and he was having so much, success with that. Lewis was hurt. Everybody knows Lewis has a bad gas tank. If he would have done that all night, it would have been an easy victory, wouldn't it?
I agree. He made a mistake and got, the fact that it was a lot of success and he landed some of those hard shots to the body allowed him to get in a little bit too close. I think if you're right, if he just would have kept just plugging away like a sniper at distance and let him just bleed out, he could have rolled to an easier victory. Not that he couldn't have gotten the knockout later on, but I think he could have beat Lewis down to some, to such a level that not into the later rounds, maybe venturing, coming closer. But I do admit that my favorite part about the whole thing was Lewis's response to the body kicks. I mean, it was a dumb question. So you just had a guy who's 6'8", top 10 heavyweight, kick you in the gut. Did it hurt? It's like, no shit, Sherlock. You see me belling over, but he handled it right by making a joke about, no, I didn't hurt. I had to go to the bathroom. I thought it was funny. I thought a better question would have been along the lines of, all right, obviously it was causing damage. What were you thinking? What adjustments were you going to make? We know that you're predominantly a striker. Was this the idea of ever taking a shot in your mind to avoid getting hit in the body? Something a little bit more in depth, but hey, not everybody can ask home run questions, right?
That guy Derek Lewis is I mean, he's deceptively funny, and he's also refreshingly honest. When have you ever heard of a fighter refer to themselves as one-dimensional?
Yeah.
That's what he said about himself.
You know what?
He goes, I got to work on this because I'm basically a one-dimensional fighter.
I like him a lot now. I mean, just handling that, saying, hey, look, I got tired. I need to work on being well-rounded and better well-rounded without really knocking himself. It wasn't like he was just like, well, I suck, I shouldn't be here. It was like, well, I have a lot of heart, but I have a lot to work on. I thought, as far as great opportunities of after a fight of endearing yourself to fans, I thought he hit a home run, man. The guy was awesome. He garnered my interest. Before that, I saw someone like, well, the guy hits hard. He's a big heavyweight. The one attribute that he had that I thought was most respectable is that he fights from behind, which that's a rarity in the heavyweight division. That was one thing that if you would go back, remember Heath Herring?
Yeah.
He kind of had that where, he wasn't exceptional in any one area of the game. He could kick really hard, but the guy could take a beating and wouldn't go away. And heavyweights, we're not used to that. We're kind of used to being like, I always relate heavyweights to turtles. Like the first one on their back is going to lose, It's kind of like they're front runners. The first one to come out and start winning is going to, that's pretty much the whole fight there. Heavyweights aren't used to coming back from adversity. They're not really, naturally we're the weakest of all the weights. Mentally, we're not very tough, typically, compared to the other weight classes. And so the fact that he has that, I thought was a great attribute. And then also now his social awareness of how to talk afterwards. I think he's, like you said, I think he's funny and honest.
Yeah.
When he first started doing interviews on our show, didn't he say he was only fighting to maybe buy a house, and then he was out, right?
I
think he finally realized, hey, I could do this for a long time.
I'm pretty good at this.
Learning on the job.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a ton of heavyweights. You can be, people ask me, hey, when do you plan on retiring? I'm like, mid-40s? I don't know. Have you seen some of the heavyweights fighting? Obviously, be a time where fighting for a title is going to be hard, but as far as fighting some of the guys outside the top 5 or 6, I'm like, shit, man. A lot of us that are decent heavyweights can do that until they bury us. I mean, most guys just aren't very good fighters once they get above 200 pounds. Or the guys that could have been maybe good fighters tend to go other ways. They played football, they're basketball players, or baseball, they do other sports, but fighting isn't the one that gets them. Or they come so late to the game that it's just too late for them to learn how to do anything.
Do you follow Derek Lewis on social media?
I think
my girlfriend does. That's her favorite. That's how she became a fan of his, was
Right.
being on his
If you two
Instagram.
don't, you should.
Yeah, no, I follow him.
That's what you told me about the whole painting himself white.
Yeah, he's always posting great stuff
He's
on
hilarious.
there.
We will now if I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah. All right. Let's take this last break of the first hour. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. It's a good chance to jump on iTunes and subscribe to the Phone Booth Fighting Podcast with Frank Mir and Richard Hunter. It drops 2 times a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, right, Richard?
Yep,
Yeah,
that's
okay. Right. Who do you have coming up on today's show?
Well,
Who will be dropping for today's show?
It's just us today.
Okay.
No guests.
Maybe a little bit of Bella.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
we have an exclusive
we'll
on the up-and-coming
daughter for his for the podcast,
Right,
and and then we'll be talking to Chael about the big Sunday show.
All right, we'll be right back after this break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93.
It would be a life fantasy, but you're moving so carefully. Let's start living dangerously.
Here, this one. Get this one.
Can't buy me love, love, can't buy me love. I'll buy you a diamond ring, my friend.
They are the stretch marks on the underbelly of the MMA community. But hey, stretch marks are the new tats. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
He is funny as hell.
Yeah. All right, folks. So I mentioned earlier, we have some Frank Mir faces that have been submitted via the Combat Chat on Facebook. We want to show Frank Mir. Let's show him 6, and then the second hour we'll do some more, and then maybe we'll choose a winner and just put together a little prize packet to send them.
Okay.
All right. So you got to watch the video here. Go to facebook.com/official MMA Junkie or youtube.com/MMA Junkie video. This is Gabe from LA. That's his Frank Mir. Let's show him the original Frank Mir face first. Can you do that?
The original one is here.
So there's Frank Mir. I best described it as somebody probably asked him a stupid question, right? Or did something. And he was like, what the fuck? And so that's his Frank Mir face. The guys from Team Alpha Male made a joke about it about 5 years ago maybe, and so everybody knows it.
This is Gavin McCarran.
Gavin McCarran's Frank Mir face. And we already saw Gabe from L.A.
What do you think, Frank?
Meh.
All right.
You just Frank Mir face the Frank Mir face.
This is Gabe from
this is,
Gus.
Gus.
Gus
a little better, a little better.
All right. How about this is John Rico
from Huntington Beach.
I like
that
it.
one.
I'm liking that one.
I think his is the best so far.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Although that can be confused for like I'm trying to pass
gas
or something.
Yeah.
Or take a dump. How about I like this one.
Yeah, I think that really embodies what I was trying to portray.
Uh-huh.
You feel like he's really captured
He's
your
capturing
voice.
the essence.
Yeah.
This is
Ray from
Perez.
San Antonio.
Oh, talk about trying to pass gas.
He looks like he's scared about a diagnosis he's about to get. He's like, just tell me the truth.
Well, yeah, he definitely threw the dice out there. He's like, oh, shit, what's going to happen?
This is Brandon from Louisville. He called in earlier.
I like that one. That actually was really good.
Yeah?
So is he in the lead?
I think so. Him and the other kid.
Huntington Beach?
Yep.
This is Cousin Nick.
Oh, man. If he didn't have the hat on, that's perfect.
That
Don't you
is
guys
good,
think? That's
yeah.
a good one, right?
Yeah.
What is he doing out there?
Looks like he's driving his John Deere tractor.
All right, so round one, we'll say John Rico and was it Leon advanced?
I would say, Cousin Nick.
Oh, no, Brandon he liked, right?
Yeah, he liked Brandon.
Yeah.
He liked Leon, and he liked Rico.
So it's like a tournament bracket. We've
A
got
little bit,
people
yeah.
advancing
Just to
out
give
of
him a
the
second
preliminaries.
chance,
I like
see
it.
how it goes.
Yeah.
Are you going to show him Max from Las Vegas or no?
Yeah, you want to see Max from Las Vegas?
Just one more. I don't think he can win the prize package, but tell us what you think of this one. This is Max from Las Vegas.
I like it.
That's him having to wake up 2 hours early.
Yeah, that was me this morning.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
We were late at the house last night doing the show. Well, we were supposed to be doing the show, but it ended up being a Mrs. Mir and Richard Hunter discussion on life.
What'd you guys discuss?
Relationship stuff.
Yeah.
And then I got in trouble because they were talking about relationships, and I kept playing shit on my phone. Pay attention. I'm all, this isn't interesting to me.
Yeah, we were supposed to tape last night, and about 2.5 hours into the conversation she and I were having, Frank's over there with Clash of Clans, and I'm like, should we just tape tomorrow?
Yeah.
Would it be
I
better
got
for
NFL on here, too.
Yeah.
That's funny. This weekend, you and you're well, see, I'm confused here. It says suspended, Chael Sonnen and Frank Mir live, but it is the phone booth team versus your welcome team, right?
Yep, the two of us, and then Chael and his co-host Joel, the four of us on stage together.
We've done that
10
format
p.m.
before.
The Stratosphere.
Yep.
For tickets, go to lacomedyclub.com. The LA Comedy Club is inside the Stratosphere, and it's a really, really cool club, man. You'll like it. And plus, there's a lot of great places to grab some dinner beforehand or go on some rides. Just kind of make a night of it. The Stratosphere is kind of underrated, man, in my eyes. I think they got some real cool things going on.
Well, and it's such an intimate, small club that
Great view.
If you're asking questions or you want to be a part of the show, you're a part of it. I mean, it only goes back about 5 or 6 rows. So, I mean, you really, at any point in the house, if you wanted to throw a shoot at us, Bush style, you're there, you know. So, as far as being in close and talking, if there's anything you've ever want to ask Chael or myself, or just that way, and really the fans make it that much more of an interesting interplay, because if we're talking, asking questions, going back and forth, bantering, it's just that much better of an event.
Chael's promising big things too. He said he's got a story. He's going to
Super
unveil
interesting.
what he says is the greatest MMA story never told that he's always sat on, and he's going to reveal it that night.
All right, we're going to do a sports update. When we come back, we'll show some more Frank Mir faces, and we'll take some calls. 866-522-2846.
It cost me my very last dime.
So who's this?
favorite all-time jams right here. I'm a West Coast guy, you know. And the little hip hop that I like, I think, is from guys like Ice Cube and Dre and any combination of Snoop and Tupac. It's kind of like my glory years of when I liked hip hop the most.
You're gonna piss him off.
If I were,
Why?
Because I'm East Coast.
Hip-hop.
Oh
Okay.
no, I was actually just thinking when I was hearing that if I were a rich guy, I would put, especially now that he's retired, I would put Uriah Faber under like a $500,000 contract for 6 months. But his job would be that in my house, whenever this song started playing, he had to do his full walkout into my living room. Like him and
He's
Master
got an
Tong
awesome
and
walkout. This song
Justin
is his,
Buchholz come
and
out.
It
Yeah.
just gets the whole crowd going. Even if you're a West Coaster, Midwester, this song's just, it's really, really good.
Can you
like it,
imagine?
Frank?
I've got him.
I do.
I've got him signed to that deal, and it's like 4:30 in the morning, and he's in his bed, and he just hears California. He's like, "Oh, let me get the headband on. Hold on."
Richard Hunter and Frank Mir in the house, playing some California love there. Good job, Danny, with that one. This is my best. Wait, turn it up. I like this part coming up. Isn't he getting out of jail right now?
What?
Right?
Dead.
Out of jail.
Oh, I didn't know there was a story.
On the scene, I'm hearing Hoochie screaming. Yeah. All right.
Never
Thank you.
followed the
There's a
narrative.
movie coming out, right?
Is there?
Yeah. You haven't seen the preview to that?
No.
Looks good.
Something along the lines of what NWA did. Look
Kinda,
at
yeah,
us. Okay. Who's gonna play Tupac? Ruthie from Real World.
The guy's pretty good. He kind of
Is
looks
he?
like him, yeah.
All right. Frank, I guess let me see. Let's talk on the personal side a little bit. Update us on, what you have going on in your life. You have I guess a 2-year suspension, and what I don't know was it already deemed and accepted as a 2-year suspension, or can there still be any form of an appeal?
Well, no. Basically, we went through and tested the supplements, everything that I had ingested in my body, up to the negative test February 4th to the positive test March 22nd. Trying to figure out what was in there, but the only problem is that when we test the supplements, again, they're only looking for the actual drug itself that is a derivative of this metabolite. But trying to figure out what I took, if it could break down into this metabolite, because that's really what it looks more like. Because again, I was nothing in my system with blood or urine 6 weeks before the fight, and then at the fight they said they found the metabolite, which it takes 6 weeks to get down to that level. So it looks like, actually talking to some physicians and chemists on the side, that they're like, well, it looks like you probably ingested something else that breaks down to that. But I'm like, well, what is that? They're like, that just takes years of this test being refined to figure out. You would have to figure out how the different supplements you've taken, after you metabolize them in your body, what they could metabolize to, and you're going to be spending hundreds, or thousands of dollars to try to figure that out. If there is,
I knew you saw that changed a few things around. I saw something like 2-3 days ago, so I didn't know if that applied to any existing cases.
I don't know. I have to look at it. I didn't pay attention, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
USADA just, I guess because of being a U.S. citizen, I'm very much that you're innocent until proven guilty, and they're very much guilty until proven innocent approach, which, again, I understand. I'm not happy being on that side of it, but their only function in the world is drug testing, and so that's why they have very much of they have all the power on their side with none on the side of the athlete. And I mean, but that goes why that they'll never be able to work for like the NFL, because the players union wants it to be much more equal, and they don't have that. They want, well, no, you're guilty, and you try to prove us why you possibly might not be. Even if in any kind of court, I go forward and I were to sit there and go, well, they found a metabolite in my system. Their test shows that there's metabolite. Doesn't mean it necessarily came from a steroid, but it's a relatively new test. It could have came from other areas, and the fact that I didn't have this steroid in my system with their own testing procedures 6 weeks before the fight, I think casts a lot of doubt. It would probably be thrown out, but they're judge, jury, and executioner, so there's nowhere to go with it. So I guess I waited out unless the UFC lets me go before that, and then.
Well, now you're 1 year in. Are you interested in that, or you kind of been a UFC guy for so long?
Fighting other places?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually I am.
Oh, I see.
I think that Bellator and World Series of Fighting, Bellator especially, I think the fact that they have those open contracts to where they allow their guys to fight as long as they're not a champ and be able to compete in other areas, I think it's a great thing because the UFC really wants to lock people down and not let you fight, which, if you need to make a name for yourself and you want to be out there, I guess that's a sacrifice you have to make. But I think it hurts you as a martial artist, and that's what I want to be as a good martial artist. So I want to be able to compete in other things. Like I have a very strong interest in doing kickboxing matches because I want to test stand-up just in a stand-up realm where taking the shot or putting the fight on the ground is not an option. And so I think that would really test my skills and ability and make me have to rise to become a better martial artist. And as long as I'm with the UFC, that's never going to be allowed. And so
have you asked them for a release?
I have.
And they said no?
No, I haven't had a reply back. So.
Oh, I see.
So I don't know. I guess it's business as usual. So, when I get done with the suspension, I'll just fight out my contract and then be able to move other places afterwards.
Frank, you mentioned that you understand where people come from when they say, innocent until proven guilty. It gets kind of flipped around sometimes.
Yeah.
Before this happened to you, what was your reaction when other fighters would go through? And has that kind of changed now that you've been through this process?
Honestly, I never put that much weight into it. For example, like I remember I was closely tied to one with Shane Carwin, right? After my loss to him. I guess it came out a few months later that there was a list of a guy who was distributing performance-enhancing drugs out of some pharmacy or some doctor was doing it, and he got busted. So after he got busted, they looked through his list of guys that he sold to, and Carwin was on the list. And so I got a bunch of interviews and calls like, hey, do you think this, that? I'm like, actually, guys, I don't think it matters. I train at a gym, or I've trained at gyms my whole life, and not everybody's a professional fighter. And, you get all walks of life, and you get that guy who's juiced out of his mind, who wants to compete and get there and train. And I've never been that impressed with it. I mean, if you think about it, the guy we don't even see them in any walk of life where the guy, looks purple, all juiced up, strong. And it's like, well, you look really good, but they typically only last for about 15 to 20 seconds and they gas out. Blood pressure's through the roof. So I don't think there's actually a performance-enhancing drug out there that helps you as a fighter, to be honest with you. Not none that I've ever been worried about. I mean, if you look at all the greatest fighters in the world, like an Anderson Silva, even when he came up with his positive test, I looked at him and was like, well, obviously he took something else. I mean, the guy really isn't taking steroids. Look at his physique. His muscles are smooth, and there's no technique in an injection. You know what I mean? You can't sit there and put a syringe and be like, well, now I can dodge punches. And, there's no matrix level chemicals out there that just change people's fighters. Enhancing someone's strength at the drawback that it's going to raise their blood pressure, to me, is not a very smart trade-off in our sport. It's like, well, if, they change this to 30-second rounds, then maybe being juiced up could be an advantage. But in a sport where anaerobic endurance are high on the pinnacle of requirements to be competitive, I never really cared. So if you tell me the guy across from me is juiced out of his mind, I never was like, all right, whatever. Bones still break and he still goes to sleep if I wrap a choke on him, so who cares? So I guess I've never been big into it where it's like, this matters so much. I'm like, does it really?
When we had our junkie gathering almost 2 years ago, you all opened your doors over there at Bishop Gorman. We went there, and you had a workout. This was, I think, leading into the Duffy fight, right?
I think so, yeah.
Or maybe, I think it might have been after.
Or Bigfoot. I don't know. But I remember it was cool. Travis Brown was there that day.
Yes.
Are you pretty tight with him, or was that just
we're
the
like
time that maybe you guys coincided training?
I like Travis, and we're friends with each other, but I think we're more work associates. We're like, when we see each other, hey, buddy, what's up? Okay. How's it going? And, there's been, we've had dinners together when we're out in Albuquerque hanging out and stuff. But other than that, no. I mean, he has, we're both dads. And I think that dads don't really have a lot of friends, for the reason being, it's like, I've got, if you want to go out and have beers with me, it's like, dude, I got 3 kids at home, 1 already gone. I don't really have time for me to go hang out. If I get an extra hour that I'm not training or working on Phone Booth Fighter, then I'm going to be spending it with my kids. And, they're sports and they're running all over the place. So it's not that I'm not close with Travis. I just don't have, Richard and I only get to talk because we figured out a way to make it into Phone Booth Fighter. Mm-hmm. So we could talk at that time. Otherwise, as a parent, and I think most people that have kids can relate, you don't have a lot of time other than just, you have your career, you have your kids, and then if there's any time left over, I have a Harley in my garage that I probably haven't driven in 5 months, In fact, I went to go check it the other day. The battery's dead, even though it was on a tender, because I haven't had a chance to jump on the bike and run around.
So I think what you're saying is if you want to hang out with Travis Brown, the two of you are going to have to start a podcast.
Yes.
I think it's the only way to.
That or we have to have the kids meet up and hang out, if they're both doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Let's take some calls here. Got Frank Mir and Richard Hunter here in studio. Marco in Waco, Texas. What's up, Marco?
Marco from Waco, que pasa, vato? Richard Hunter, and the most weaponized man in the planet, Frank Mir. How many guys are you carrying right now, Frank?
I think he gave us
How
the
many guys
answer.
are you carrying right
He
now,
wants to
Frank?
know how many guns do you have on you.
Oh, guns do I have on me right now? Less than 5, more than 1.
Awesome. Good. Yeah, that's the right answer.
What about knives?
Hey, you were talking about your
More than I have guns.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Frank.
Yeah.
You were talking about you asked for your release from the UFC. So lately, they let Ryan Bader go, Nikita Krylov, Horiguchi, and Misha Serkinov. And they're not giving you the respect of giving you your release. The only reason you said I got power on you right now is because you're still contracted to the UFC.
Yes.
You said it's not a commission.
Correct.
If the UFC let you go tomorrow, you can go to Bellator and fight.
Yes.
But why don't you do a Vitor Belfort? He went to Japan and took a fight. The UFC couldn't stop it because they don't get jurisdiction there. Or you can go to Eastern Europe and take a fight and test the grounds, because if they're not giving you your release on good terms, you might as well, take it in your own hands, go and take a fight overseas, and let's see if they can stop you. Whether you ask, you understand.
And actually, that's definitely a tactic that I'm bouncing around with me and the guys and the wife, sitting there thinking about what to do. The only problem is if that extends my UFC contract, if somehow they say I'm in violation and there's some fine print that keeps me under contract indefinitely, then that means that I'll only be able to take those fights. I can only fight overseas, and I'll never be able to fight in my home country again. And that's not really an option I'm looking for. So I'd rather kind of hopefully there's other things I can do. I mean, right now, like I said, the fact that I'm doing a lot of broadcast work and color commentating for like the ACB and then the XFN are the two main ones I go to. So I've been traveling around a lot, seeing different things and seeing what other options I have. So you're right. It had occurred to me that after a couple months that I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not suspended by an athletic commission. I even went and investigated, and the athletic commission pulled me up, and nope, I am free and clear. So the only power that USADA has is the fact that UFC has me under contract, which is probably why they're not letting me go, because in one sense they can't use me because they're going to go back on what they said, more power they gave to USADA. But in another sense, if they cut me, then I could be used by somebody else. And let's face it, if even at 37 years of age, if I went and fought over Bellator, I'm going to draw a lot more than the majority of the heavyweights we have here at the UFC right now.
Mm-hmm. And I heard, I don't know if it's just ACB or a lot of other Russian organizations, they're paying pretty well out there.
Yeah, actually,
now Bigfoot didn't get the $500,000 he was rumored, but what did Alex intimate?
It was big.
It was at least $200,000 or $250,000. We just kind of were talked in code a little bit, but I mean,
no, I've gone around and realized that I actually make less money by staying with the UFC right now. So.
ACB is also expanding into jiu-jitsu tournaments. We're going to California this weekend for ACB BJJ.
That's a World Grand Prix for North America, and so I'll be able to go out there, and we're going to call the fights with Robert Drysdale, who's a even a greater expert at jiu-jitsu than I am, especially in the Brazilian jiu-jitsu world of gi jiu-jitsu and no-gi. I've kind of the last couple of years really pushed.
He's commentating or grappling?
Commentating. So to be the three of us at the table talking about the fights, breaking it down, and going forward and trying to really pump life into one of the foundations of what mixed martial arts is based on, which is jiu-jitsu. And now we're having a badass world tournament where you're going to see 16 of the is a 16-man tournament, correct?
Yeah, 2 different weight classes.
You're play-by-play?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We're all going to be
a
good
team. Because you've got skills. We've seen you through WEC back in the day, and we got to commentate with Robert in Japan, and it was only his first time doing MMA, but I thought he did great, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it took maybe 1 or 2 fights for all of us to get going, but he was awesome.
Yeah, he's really good at explaining the technical stuff that's going on.
Yeah, and so we'll be in a jiu-jitsu world where
How can we watch it?
They're going to stream it on their YouTube channel, ACB. If you look up ACB on YouTube, they've got a big YouTube presence. You can
and we'll
stream
put a
it
link through our phone booth fighter. We always do that.
Yeah.
When I'm commentating the fights,
Yeah.
Richard's able to get a link on there so people can.
Our Phone Booth Fighting Facebook page will link to those. So this Saturday you can watch them.
Very cool. All right. We're in LA.
Is it Orange? It's actually Orange, California.
It'll be at the Santiago
College,
Canyon
right?
College.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. We grew up like 10 minutes from there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We
Very
should
cool.
stop by and say hi to your folks or something.
Yeah, you guys want to come out there? There's some interesting
Yeah.
grappling. They're doing an
Might
open
work.
tournament on Sunday for everybody.
Might have
So
to.
All right, let's talk to Blake in Pennsylvania. What's up, Blake?
Hey guys, Frank, I'm a absolutely huge fan. The first fight I actually ever watched was you footlocking Tank Abbott in like 40 seconds. So that was great. I just want to say two things. One, I think it was truly an inspiration when you came back from all your motorcycle accident injuries and came back and destroyed Nogueira, who was considered the best heavyweight in the world at that time. So that was truly inspiring. And my other question is, for your next fight, whether it's in the UFC or a different organization, is there like one specific fight that interests you?
Not too much. I'll be honest with you, I know that that's not the greatest marketing, not to call out a specific name. But, I mean, that's kind of the reason why I'm still inspired to fight. I've won titles. I just got indoctrinated into the Nevada Sports Hall of Fame. I'm the only mixed martial artist to ever be in there. So I'll always be the first, no matter who follows me. But the reason it inspires me to fight is always that I like fighting. I like competing and going out there. Same reason why guys join jiu-jitsu tournaments or join up into a local boxing matches, because they want to compete. They want to test themselves on what their training is. So really that's why I continuously want to fight, is because I constantly want to put myself in that arena, see what I'm good at, what I'm bad at, and what I can work on. And it gives me just motivation on why I get up in the morning.
I'll give you two. If it's in the UFC, Fabricio Verdum.
Yeah.
Because I think he is such
That's
a
one that
highly
should always
regarded
happen.
submission
Yeah.
heavyweight. And he's one of the few that you never face. If it's outside the UFC, Fedor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'd like to. Yeah, that's true.
That would be
Richard's
fun.
better than I.
Anything else, Blake?
Yeah, absolutely. That was great. I appreciate you guys taking my call. And Frank, I truly think you're the greatest heavyweight ever to fight in the octagon.
appreciate
So
it, man.
thank you. For
Where are you from
thank
again?
You for wonderful fights. Pennsylvania.
So I'll be on the East Coast, but actually just not that far north. Next weekend, March 4th, I'll be out in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. I'm doing a seminar with Ryan, who does the Grappling Central podcast. He put together one, so at least it's on the same coast as you. If you get a chance, I mean, it's 2 weeks' notice. Head down there, we'll be able to meet up, and you can hang out, do the seminar, and maybe catch lunch afterwards.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I appreciate it. Hey, like I said, thank you for everything.
I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Blake, for the call. All right, so there's one Frank Mir face. It's not anybody that's part of Junkie Nation, but have you ever seen that chubby little black kid that does one?
Well, yeah.
That one's good. How do we find it?
He's like the goat of Frank.
How do we find it?
I have it on my phone.
Yeah, do you?
Is it the one where people use as a meme going like, so you're saying that?
Yeah.
Okay,
something like
that is a good
and Frank,
one.
I just found this one of you. That one's pretty funny, too. Not bad. It's actually...
Yeah.
Ever seen that one? Not bad.
That's funny.
Look, I'm impressed.
I make a
Okay.
shitty poker player. I'm a little too expressionate with my facial.
All right, let's go one more call, and then we'll show some more Frank Mir faces on the screen. This is Weston in Fort Worth. What's up, Weston?
Fellas, how you guys doing?
Good, man. How you?
Doing well. Sorry for not calling so often, but had to call in to talk to Frank. So, yeah. Hey, Frank, as a lifelong martial artist, I'm sure you were taught that technique beats strength, or that like work beats talent. So, in Lewis versus Brown this last weekend, the more technical fighter was overwhelmed by and stopped by the less skilled fighter with natural ability. Most of the time, I think technique does win out, which is evidenced by your long career. But so like every once in a while, fighters like Derek Lewis come around, and they seem to overcome the technical gap with natural ability. So, question to Frank: was Shane Carwin one of these fighters? And is this comparison to Derek Lewis reasonable? And for everyone else, is Derek Lewis the Shane Carwin of 2017? Thanks for taking my call. Have a good one.
Thank you.
I think that Derek Lewis, actually, yes, technique overall just beats strength and abilities. But at that moment, Travis made a technical mistake. He was keeping Derek at the end of the kicks, and he decided to throw a low kick with no punches, nothing in front of it, and it allowed Derek Lewis to throw a right hand very close. Was it the left? He nailed him with a punch when he was throwing a kick, and that was kind of the first shot that really started turning the tide of the fight. But that's a technical thing to do. You see it all the time in MMA. So it's that, Derek Lewis might not have been as technical, as well-rounded as Travis, but he's still, it's not absolutes. It's not you don't know anything or you do know everything. It's a sliding scale. And I think that, Travis is more well-rounded as far as if we were to go in there and say, hey, show me this technique, like a combine type of situation. All right, do this. But Derek still has skills. It's just that he's still working on them and improving. And he did the right thing. He was able to wobble him. And even there, when he had him up against the cage, if Derek Lewis was completely just a novice, he might have just kept throwing right hands to the head. But as Travis started blocking it with his forearms and shield, Derek made an adjustment and threw the uppercut.
Yes, 2 of them actually.
That's technical,
right.
That was good technique. And so, once again, good technique does win out. Had Lewis just kept beating him on his forearms, then Travis recovers, and who knows how the fight ends at that moment.
It also looked like he stepped in to the space that they had, and now his hooks were landing by the neck, behind the head. So kind of almost, he worked a couple ways to get around. One by doing the uppercut, like you said, and then by stepping in a little bit. And he caught Travis kind of like on the back.
Yeah,
which obviously those, the damage keeps accumulating.
Yeah. And so he was using good technique. He was adjusting and throwing his shots around. So I think that, Derek Lewis, it could be comical that, actually he does have decent technique on his feet, especially for heavyweight, and he's growing. And like I said earlier, the one attribute that he has, which is the most valuable for a heavyweight, is the ability to fight from behind, heart, whatever you want to call it, because fights don't always start off the way you want them to. But if you have the perseverance of mind to continue to try to fight back, there's a great chance. And a lot of heavyweights don't have that. So the fact that he does have that, I think as he builds technique, which is learnable, not that heart's not a teachable attribute, it's just much more difficult because you have to find the right opportunities to put someone in adversity and see how and then talk them through it. Fixing someone's punch, keeping the elbow in, or fixing a kick, or when to throw it, much easier and a quicker fix.
We haven't caught up in a while, so I wanted to ask you, when you do come back, Angelo's still your boxing coach?
Yeah, I'm still training with Angelo.
Ricky won't be your head coach anymore?
No, at this time, I'm kind of like my own head coach. I know so much about mixed martial arts that I need people while I'm training to help me and grow. But I really want to focus more on my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu again and get back into one of my strengths while continuing to work boxing and striking. But, the wrestling aspect of the game, I'm going to put a little bit less time and effort into. I want to work the submissions. And so, Drysdale has a style very similar to mine when he fought in MMA that's very submission heavy. And I want to work on that and kind of get back to what I do really well. I think it's good to improve upon your weaknesses or on things that you want to get better at. But I think that sometimes it's like, you got to stick to what brought you to the big game, right? If you're a running team, work on the pass, but let's not eliminate the run.
All right, let's take another call here, and then we'll show some more Frank Mir faces on the screen. It's Ray from San Antonio. What's up, Ray?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for being in the studio, Richard and Frank.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Frank, how do you balance, like you said, your daughter's getting into it and stuff. How do you balance, the business part of it as far as, an example, Ronda Rousey, how she supposedly, I guess, retired, how she just, how she handled the defeats, not really well. If I could rewind real quick, Miesha Tate came on here about a week ago, and she's had some real bad adversity and comeback, and so have you. But she talked about her getting brutally knocked out, and if only we can get a little bit of that from Ronda Rousey, man. She could save face, if we could just get a little bit of that out of her.
Yeah.
How do you balance when? At what age do you think you should start telling the business part of it to somebody training?
Well, I think that the whole time, whenever you have opportunities that arise, like, I'll be honest, Ronda Rousey is a learning tool for my daughter. I get to point at the things that she was successful at and be like, all right, let's look what led up to that success and what we can take off of those steps for ourselves. And then where I feel that she has shortcomings, we can look at what set up those steps that led her down that path, and be able to try to avoid them. And so I can point at, someone of the success of Ronda, and then use Miesha Tate as another good example of what made her successful, what were her shortcomings. And I think that every opportunity you have, you use as a teachable moment for a young athlete coming up. They can point at the superstars like a Conor McGregor and be like, all right, here's somebody that nobody really talked more trash than this guy. How did he handle his loss? And that's, look how the fans and everybody, because it's an instant barometer on whether what you're doing is successful or not, and how the media and how the fans take of it. The fact that, everybody shows that he became more popular after a loss than most people do after victories, showcase, okay, well, we probably want to do it this way. Whereas Ronda, if anything, her social acceptance and what her normal, the thought of her is amongst the general population and MMA fans, probably lowered, not so much because of the loss, but I think how she handled it and the media blackout and everything else. So we can point to that and be like, okay, we can't make ourselves unbeatable. It's impossible. Everybody, we're all human, but we can adjust how we handle adversity. That's the one thing that's always going to be in our court. It's like, all right, when we do run up against a wall or we do have a trip or we fail, what are we going to do on our end to address that and bounce back?
Don't you think there's also 100 different situations behind the scenes where she could come to you and say, hey, I got this new sponsor hitting me up. Is this a good deal? Or this fight promotion, wants a 3-fight contract. Should I try to get that down to 2 or hold out to 4? Just that kind of stuff that, for you to have had that experience, you could probably really lend perspective to.
Yeah, and that's also, too, why I'm a big fan of people talking. I don't think that, if someone says, hey, how much are you getting paid to fight? So many fighters, and I think it's funny, that's kind of a big brother mindset that it's not appropriate to talk. Like, well, why not? It'd be like us as phone booth fighter. If I feel like if I call you guys and be like, hey, man, this guy wants to give us $2 for every view. Is that good? And you can be like, wow, it's phenomenal. We get X, Y, and Z. It doesn't take money out of your pocket to let me know what people are paying you, but it does help us as an establishment, to talk to each other and go, well, no, that guy is screwing you. That's not right. We get this, this, and this. And so as fighters, if we can all, when we do interviews with journalists, be honest and forthcoming with successes and failures and what's going on, I think that only helps out the next generation of athletes to know how to circumvent this system.
There you have it. All right, Ray, thanks for the call. Great question. We're going to take our big break here of the second hour. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. We got Frank Mir and Richard Hunter in studio here. They are the co-hosts of the Phone Booth Fighting Podcast. Subscribe on iTunes. Check it out. They drop every Tuesday and Friday. We'll be right back. All right, let's see here. Mark Seward is saying, I don't see the heavyweight division struggling. I think there's plenty of good fighters in the heavyweight division. So, Frank, I wanted to ask you, it's almost as fun as it's ever been. Wouldn't you agree? Like some of the young guys that are chasing the veterans that still have life in them. Mark Hunt's in his 40s. Fedor almost got down the other day. But even like Verdum, Barnett, yourself, upper 30s, and fighting as good as ever.
I agree. There's a lot of it has decent depth to it. I think in the past sometimes we've ran into that issue where, the top 5 guys are great, but no one knew anybody outside that. But also I think, too, it's a testament to our social media. Because, let's face it, Derek Lewis, just on his fighting ability right now, I don't think deserves mainstream attention. But I think that fighting ability mixed with his social media presence, and it makes it to where now he's somebody coming up. I mean, Francis Ngannou is a really good fighter, but we're not really talking about him because he doesn't have anywhere near the level of social presence in the social media and interviews that Derek has. It just shows you how nowadays in the new up-and-coming age of the world of athletes and fighters is that you got to be able to do it in the octagon or the cage, wherever, and then also be able to become a phenomenal on the mic and with your tagging, with your posting, and different interactions with the fans.
Jason Lupo is hollering at you on the Facebook chat. Luke Johnson says, "What's up, Richard?"
Hello.
And Jeffrey Martin wants to know, why doesn't Frank walk out to the Amazing anymore from Kanye?
Kids pick the Might Come Out songs a lot of times now.
Okay.
I let them
hair
do it.
looking on point. Matt Edge is saying that to Richard.
Thank you, Matt.
Benjamin from New York says, "Hey guys." Benjamin's asking if Richard brought his pit bull. How is Mel?
Mel's doing great.
Listen to the latest episode of this show or the rest of the SiriusXM
We're
Plus
actually going to
lineup
have to stop by the
anytime you want, on
ASPC
demand with
after
the
this.
SiriusXM.
The wife, there's a dog that they're trying to adopt out of Meadows, and my wife's grandmother wants it. So we're going to go there and maybe adopt a dog. Are you going to help us with it?
Carlos Ramiro Vargas Morales
and the
says, "Saludos desde Jalisco, Mexico."
Nice.
Yeah, I think Jalisco is where Guadalajara, and I think it's either the state or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Frank, you're part Cuban but not Mexican, right? Or
Nope.
are you a little Mexican?
My father's from Cuba.
Guys are clear.
Richard Vihar saying, "Y'all think Frank has got another fight in him?" Frank, you probably got about, what, 5 to 10 more fights in you?
Quite a few. I'm only 37.
37, yeah. He wants to see Mir versus Lesnar 3. I don't think that one's going to happen. Although, never say never. It's
Never
just, I
say
only
never.
say because Brock's retired from the UFC. I just don't know if he's all the way done with MMA.
I think he is.
So,
I don't know, man. He likes money,
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Never
Paul
say
James
never.
says, "Man, my favorite 2 podcasts in one. Sweet. Thank you, Paul James."
Yeah.
Keith Nielsen says, "Frank Mir versus Derek Lewis." Colin Gardner says, "Holly Holmes to the WWE."
Holly Holm?
Holly Holm, yeah, to the WWE.
I don't think she'd have the mouth for
I
that.
don't think so either. Yeah. Robbie Rapp thinks Lewis would crush you. Just going off what he's saying.
Everybody has opinions.
Yeah.
I'm sure Robbie's an extremely successful person and knows things in life. Gonna go jump into his Maybach, pull out of his $1 million house.
I don't know if you and Richard caught this, but I had to go alpha on Frank because I was sitting here, right, and on one of those where he explained, he fucking crushed my finger by resting his elbow right there, right?
Sorry,
and so what this all had, it reminded me of like when you're on a plane and you know when you're fighting for that
Forearm,
elbow. Right. So then, luckily, Richard asked the question. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I leaned all the way right here, and I wasn't budging. And I was waiting for him to come back, and I was just gonna sit there like I ain't moving. But he never came back, and I got tired of leaning, so. I tried.
I think under the
Back in
new
30.
rules, it's actually illegal for him to crush your finger, so I will deduct him a point.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. They are enforcing that, though. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
The fingers? I like that because there are a lot of fighters that are just doing this, and I'm telling you, man, I hate those eye pokes more than anything. Bellator's got gloves that curl, so you don't see it as prevalent with them. It actually works, the Everlast gloves.
Yeah.
But now they're making
Come
them
back
either
to 10.
go fingers up or just have partially closed fist.
We're not allowing people in studio to do this anymore either. That'll
No,
get you out.
Yep.
You know what I noticed? They're getting up on people putting their feet in there.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was a thing.
Well, you can do this. You just can't do that. But
Yeah.
you can do that all day.
That's some fine line.
Let's see. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, start. You told me that code would get rid of them. Yeah, well, they're still here. Okay, but now they know I tried to kill them. Hold on, Mom. Here are George and Goes.
All right, we're coming down the home stretch of another fine edition of MMA Junkie Radio, 2 hours a day, live from the Race and Sportsbook here at the Mandalay Bay Resort Casino. Stopping by and pay us a visit and hang out. With the show starts at 10 a.m. You can, hang out anytime you want.
Nice.
We got 2-time heavyweight champ in the UFC, Frank Mir, here in studio with us, and Richard Hunter, his co-host. on the Phone Booth Fighting podcast, and also a comedian, and also a lifesaver. If you'll recall, Lamar Odom, you saved his life, Richard. That was you, man. That was you. Everybody was putting the dots together when they were watching interviews. Like, ain't that the guy that comes in and co-hosts from time to time?
Goes actually sent me my favorite text message of that whole ordeal
Oh, yeah?
because for 5 minutes I thought I was going to be able to stay off camera, and so I had CNN just shoot me from the side. I get this text from Goes, and it says, "We can totally tell that's you."
All right, let's go back to the phones. Oh, no, let's do some more Frank Mir faces. Let's finish this out, and let's let Frank decide who the best one was. And then we'll get to Eugene, James, and Rolly, all from California.
Good eye squint, great facial expression, just not enough head tilt.
That's Dean from Georgia. All right, that was pretty good.
All right, this is Jordan from Denver.
Was he confused on what face he was supposed to be making, and that's the face we're seeing?
That's more like the Rambo face, right?
I like, the lip.
Oh.
I like that one. Christian. Yeah, that might actually be the leader, guys. That's really good.
This is that's the dog.
Goes on some of these. They have additional comments. You'll have to just look for it. What the fuck is that? That's not Frank Mir face.
That's Aaron from Minneapolis.
Uh-huh.
That looks like constipated face. This is Oklahoma Knowles. Mike from this is Jersey Mike.
That's a good one too.
His beard might kind of obscure the expression.
The fact I can't grow a beard, he's disqualified. That's a beautiful beard.
You can't grow a beard?
Cannot grow a beard, man.
Really?
I
So
get
you
it.
just get
This.
patchy and shit?
Yeah, it just looks like long. Looks like I joined like a pirate crew.
He was headed in a direction, but it's kind of fuzzy.
Yeah, that was actually
Chris
pretty
Martinez,
decent.
is he from Fresno, I think?
I'm not sure.
All right, any more?
I think that was the. Oh wait, here's Victor from
West Virginia.
West Virginia. That ain't bad.
Mm-hmm. You know, guys, channel your acting abilities a little bit more. Like, serious. Okay, like, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one, too.
Like, seriously, what's the surprise look? If someone tells you, okay, picture, so we're all MMA fans here, or somehow we're connected. So picture someone this weekend tells you, who are the fights that are coming up?
This weekend?
Yeah. I bet you Tyron Woodley and
Wonder Boy.
And Wonder Boy ends in another draw. You'd probably go,
yeah.
Right? You'd give them that look.
Right.
So act it and take the picture and then submit it. This is your chance. I'm going to send you guys a cool packet to the winner. And
go back to the first guy that I was impressed with.
It's the
first guy.
It's the non-verbal version of "Come on, dude."
Exactly.
That's what you're saying.
Like,
Come on.
What? You're tripping.
No, go down.
Down. This guy.
Christian.
Yeah.
Christian's winning.
Christian's winning, huh? All right, we'll do it one more time, and then we'll get out of here.
That's like, whenever you want to sit there and get the hell out of here, man.
You're tripping. What?
Yeah,
Fool? What? Did you just hear what he said? Like one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to some calls here. Oh, quick reminder, this Sunday at the LA Comedy Club here in Las Vegas, Chael Sonnen and Frank Mir are going to be hosting a comedy show called Suspended. It's at 10 p.m. at the Stratosphere, and it'll involve the co-hosts here from Phone Booth Fighting, Richard Hunter and Frank Mir, and Joel, who assists in what is he, more of a producer, right? But he chimes in, I guess, on Chael Sonnen's podcast. You're welcome. All four of them will be on stage. Tickets are available by going to lacomedyclub.com. The show's at 10 p.m. Grab yourself. They have a really cool steakhouse there. They have a good view. They have rides. You can really, really make a night of it if you want to go to the Stratosphere and then wind things down at 10 p.m. for Suspended with Chael Sonnen and Frank Mir live on stage. All right. We'll go to Rolly in L.A. What's up, Rolly?
Hey, guys. How you guys doing?
Good, man. And you?
Good. My question is to Frank Mir. I just want to say, Frank Mir, I'm just a really big fan of you. But my question is, I know you're a BJJ black belt, but my question is to you is, do you have any tips or pointers? Because I used to do jiu-jitsu and I left the academy, but I'm planning to go back. So I'm just wondering, do you have any tips or pointers? And my second question is, leading up to the fight with Brock Lesnar, the first and second one, but is there still bad blood between you and Lesnar? And like when you see Brock Lesnar, is there like any kind of awkwardness around him?
No, not really. I mean, a competitive athlete, and if we can compete inside in an arena, then that's where I want to be with. As far as outside, I'm not really one to kind of blow smoke or just bark if I can't bite. So, I don't like jail any more than the next guy. So if I'm going to be hostile towards you, I want to be able to actually act on it. And so, if we can get a fight put on the table with a contract, then we can start having an exchange of words. But if we can't, you ain't going to do shit, I'm not going to do shit. Why are we even talking?
We've actually started booking former opponents of Frank's on Phone Booth Fighting podcast. We call it Frank Mir on the Record. We did the first one with Tim Sylvia, and the goal is to go through the whole career and get as many of them on as we can. I will tease this because it's not for 100% confirmed, but next week I think we're going to have one on that's a really big one.
Yeah?
Stay tuned for that.
All right.
Really big one.
Can I suggest something?
Sure.
Or more of a question, Frank. What if, at some point, people always say, all right, you guys are 1-1, you and Brock. What if you got a call from WWE and said, let's do the third one, but on a WWE format? Would you ever be open to something like that? Do you have that in you?
I mean, I would like to entertain and go out there, but the only thing is it'd be kind of interesting if we're supposed to play fight with each other for a little bit.
Is what I'm getting at, yeah.
I don't know. I guess if... I don't know. How much money are we talking about not to break his arm?
Because I'm assuming one of them gets a chop, and the other one, that's a little too hard. I mean, can you really keep it from escalating?
Right. I don't know. I'm a professional.
I like that idea because I think then I get to have the side fight with Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
Ringside.
The manager's is going to go at it.
He's got good wrestling hair, right? Because every time he gets hit, it just goes everywhere.
Yeah. Jimmy Hart, right? Remember, he was a
the Mouth
manager?
of the South. He had the megaphone.
Yeah, I think he had a singing background.
Yeah, he did.
Megaphone. I'm thinking the tennis racket. That was cornet. But yeah, you could kind of channel a little bit of that.
Every bad guy manager has a prop. They always have a good prop, so you got to bring something to
Freddie Blassie had
ring.
a cane.
Yep.
And we had the tennis racket with cornet. I don't know why he got God, he got me again. I don't know. We got what he had with why he had a tennis racket. But anyway, all right. Let's go to Eugene in L.A. What's up, Eugene?
Hey guys, 3 quick things I want to talk about. First of all, the heavyweight division has been pretty lackluster since Brock Lesnar and Frank Mir. Obviously, he's on the show right now, so that's great. But I believe that Derek Lewis.
Hold on a second, man. There's been some good fights. Really, you think it's been lackluster? Here's when I thought it was lackluster. When it was just Frank and Sylvia, and I thought there was a drop off after that, and a lot of great heavyweights were in Pride, but with Kane and JDS and Stipe and Verdum and Hunt,
I think that what he's more or less attesting to is the fact that when me and Brock talked, it took up headlines. Stipe,
they don't have. Some of the guys don't have flavor.
Well, I mean, Stipe and Velasquez are great fighters, but I guess that as far as causing any kind of interest, I mean,
okay.
I mean, for greater fighters they are inside the cage, outside of their kind of vanilla.
Kane's not a Hispanic causing panic.
Gotcha. All right.
Continue. I'm talking about pay-per-view buys. Just so, yeah.
Well, that all attests to pay-per-view buys. People have to garner interest in who you are.
All right.
And here's the thing: like Derek Lewis could be that guy that might be a superstar in the UFC if they kind of mold him right. I mean, think about it this way:
agree.
Since John Jones is on suspension, he could be good for the black demographic. I mean, people love him. He's funny. He's hilarious. He's fun to watch. I mean, the guy's great.
No, I agree with you. I think that Derek Lewis has much more of a personality than some of the other guys that are ranked above him. So if he continues to do what he's been doing and improving and knocking guys out or just winning fights, he can be somebody that people are going to... I mean, I think that he's probably has more of an interest of following in his social media and his interviews than probably the next top 5 guys in the division. You know, Stipe, Velasquez, JDS are not, really, making headlines with any of their social media, any of their interviews. They're kind of cookie cutter, just hey, whatever. But Derek Lewis is way more entertaining, and I think that extremely interesting to follow and listen to. And I think he catches headlines with sound bites better than any of the guys.
And then one more thing, I don't know if you guys remember, like a couple weeks ago, I called in about Todd Grisham. I thought he was kind of boring, but now that I think about it, he's actually pretty awesome. The only thing is, I miss Mike Goldberg's voice. So if you get to combine Grisham's commentary with Mike Goldberg's voice, I think you'd have a perfect guy for the booth.
Who's Grisham?
Okay, thank you for the call.
He was the guy that debuted this weekend.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't.
Did you guys?
Does anybody think that?
I thought he did all right for his first
yeah, exactly.
I think you could have punched in any other commentator from any other show and done the same job.
Do you guys think that? To me, there were just a few points where I kind of thought maybe you got to dial back the WWE a little bit.
Yeah.
There was like where Lewis had Travis gets a cage and Grissom is screaming, Frank, get out, or he screams, Travis, get out of there. Like there were a couple of moments like
he
that.
may be under pressure to not sound like Goldberg or not sound like Anderson.
Yeah, maybe they want it. I mean, Mauro Ranello's done great with it, so maybe it's a throwback to that. I don't know.
I was going to almost say the opposite, except I agree on that point.
Yeah.
But I believe the announcers have the power to put fighters over. Okay?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
coaches.
Yeah.
I thought Goldberg did it with Delagrati. Delagrati was just like any other coach, exceptional, really good coach. But Goldberg became a friend with him because when Goes and I first started doing the show, we went on the road and we noticed that when Goldberg, Shelby, Silva, Delagrati, they all got together. They all kind of had dinner and whatever. So that was his chance to put his friend over by saying, one of the best in the business, you know. And then, of course, Jorge Rivera was fighting well, Kenny Florian, Marcus Davis. So that gym became something. But a lot of that, I think, was an assist from Mike Goldberg. And so I know the UFC probably doesn't tell the guys, hey, look, you know, do that all the time. But I think a fighter can do it, you know. A commentator can do it. He can put over a future matchup by saying how important this matchup is, or a particular coach, or a particular fighter. And I think they should do it more often. So that's the part I would borrow from WWE a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, we're taking this last break, and then we'll come back and finish up. We got Frank Mir and Richard Hunter here in studio with us. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93.
They pat down TSA agents because they don't know where those people have been, and because they can. They are Gorgeous George and Goes, and this is MMA Junkie Radio.
The Phone Booth Fighting Podcast drops every Tuesday. Subscribe to it on iTunes. You can hear Richard Hunter and Frank Mir share their thoughts on the sport of mixed martial arts and other stuff, including stories of their travels I like the one where you guys went off the road up there in California. And
When I got us
dark and
lost in the national park.
The inner Rambo kicked in like, wait a minute, where are we? Start reaching for guns and knives. That was funny.
We're about to take another road trip to California this weekend. I got to pay attention to the GPS.
All right, you can follow them on Twitter at Richard Hunter for Richard, and Frank Mir is at the Frank Mir. Goes. We got 4 more faces. Let's award a winner. This is Ahmad from San Diego. Frank.
That's pretty good.
I like that one too.
He could have done it a little bit better, like gesture wise. This is Marcel from Houston.
That's a good one too.
This is JD from the Inland Empire of California.
Yeah, a little crazy eye there going on.
What was the last one, Goes? Oh, okay, he resubmitted.
Oh,
see that right there?
Yeah.
That's a good one, yeah.
And the frown.
Man, that's
you're questioning something. That's putting something into it. All right, in the end, Frank, which one was your favorite? We're going to scan them one more time. And
Aaron Fisher and then Christian guy.
And Christian? You didn't like this one? Noah Hubbs?
No, he's in there too
that
solid.
was good too.
Christian?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
no
we'll
one
send
from up here?
We'll send a gift pack to John Rico. He fell out.
Yeah. I think it's Christian, guys. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah. Between Aaron and Christian, I liked how Aaron's backdrop was his cubicle. It looks like he just got a ridiculous TPS report, and he's reacting to it.
All right, I'll send
Put
them
on
both
his desk.
something.
Yeah.
2 more calls, and then we're out of here. It's James from Cali. What's up, James? How you doing?
Thanks, Frank, for taking my call. I wanted your opinion on something. So when Alistair Overeem got suspended for a banned substance, he actually came back, and you could see there was a noticeable physical appearance difference. But he came back better. He got like a couple knockouts and stuff, and he attributed some of his success to like the Wim Hof method, which is like a deep breathing, a cold water immersion thing. My question is, do you do any special like breathing exercises, and do you think they help, or any sort of meditation?
I do meditation and stuff, and I think the breathing is extremely essential to fighting. And I think that's why you see older fighters who not necessarily be able to keep up the same cardio, like if they jump on a treadmill or go run on the track with another athlete that's younger than them, they might lose things as far as pure physical endurance, but their aptitude to energy conservation and economy of motion increases because now they know how to breathe properly, and so the cardio they do have is just leveraged to such a higher degree. That's why you see like a Bernard Hopkins who's able to still box all the way into his late 40s and 50 years of age because they understand how to move better. So they might not have the resting heart rate of a much younger athlete, but because we all see that, we have that, I don't know if we've all seen that, but I've seen that guy that can run marathons, do Ironman competitions, and he can't even spar for one round because he doesn't know how to breathe properly in a panic attack. And that's an extreme example of showing that it's not just about being in shape, but it's how well you can use that in shapeness, that cardio, that fitness, and be able to fight. And the more efficient you become, it's like having a car with better gas mileage and more economical running, then it's going to go that much further, even if the gas is a little bit less.
Right. One more call. Showtime in Tennessee. What's up, Showtime?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? What's going on, Richard and Frank?
Hey, Showtime.
Come on, man.
Hey, man, where can I get another phone booth fighting T-shirt, man? That was one of my favorite T-shirts in my top 5 T-shirts, and somebody stole it from me, man.
You left it at a girl's house, didn't you? Some chick's wearing it around to remember how you smell.
Yeah, it's phoneboothfightingshop.com is the website, and there's a couple of different designs up there now. So,
correct me if I'm wrong, but it probably smells like Chipotle, right? Showtime? Haven't you been on that kick?
Exactly. Exactly.
Girls are thieves of clothing, though. Let me tell you. From what I remember back before I was married.
All right, Showtime. Thanks for calling in, brother.
Okay, guys.
All right, we'll see you. All right, guys, listen, we have about 45 seconds left, so I want to thank you both for coming by and co-hosting today's episode of MMA Junkie Radio. Phone Booth Fighting Podcast drops Tuesday and Friday. You can subscribe to it on iTunes. Remember to give them those same reviews you give us. It helps the algorithm. It helps things out.
Please.
So we really appreciate it. On Twitter, at Richard Hunter, at the Frank Mir. And the Sunday, Suspended, featuring Chael Sonnen and Frank Mir, live on stage, 10 p.m. at the Stratosphere on the northern end of the Las Vegas Strip. The LA Comedy Club is hosting it, and you can go to lacomedyclub.com for tickets. Richard Hunter and Joel from You're Welcome will also be on the panel. You'll really, really get a kick out of it. So.
And my next commentating I'll be doing is March 11th in Manchester. I'll be over across the pond. So ACB March 11th. Everybody's interested in checking it out.
Awesome. All right, guys. We are out of here. For Richard and Frank and Goes, Danny back east, I'm George. Have a nice day. Go out there. Be champions.
Never be the same again.